So I have this Angular application, but I would like to not run it in the browser. I'd much rather have it as a desktop app so that it's nice and easy just chilling on my desktop ready to be clicked. But how do I do this? Well, with Electron of course. This framework allows anyone to package their Angular app and have a ready to use exe that can launch your app at the click of a button without having any need for a browser. But how do you convert your Angular app into an Electron app? And what is Electron? Well, let's get into it. So before we jump into the project, I just want to explain a little bit more what is Electron so you guys have a better knowledge of the tool that we're using. It's a framework that allows you to build desktop apps using web technologies. You use only one code base and you can create desktop apps for pretty much anything Windows, Linux, Mac, etc. The code can access native system APIs as well as pretty much anything else on the computer. Electron does need a JavaScript file as a starting point, and from there it can initialize the HTML and the application, and we will see that when we actually get to the project. It uses Chromium and Node.js to render the web content and access the APIs. And Electron desktop apps can also automatically update if you set that up, as well as you can easily create installers for these desktop apps. And one last thing I want to touch on when it comes to being cross-platform is that while yes, from Windows you can create Linux and Mac versions, you won't actually be able to package the Mac version if you're working on Windows. From Mac, you can package a Windows version and Linux, but from Windows to Mac, you can't. So in that case, yes, you could still reuse the same code base. You would just have to be on that Mac OS to actually create the Mac version. You wouldn't be able to do that from Windows. So that is just one little thing I want you guys to be aware of. But now let me actually show you guys the code of how to make this work. Okay, so I have Visual Studio Code open. I created a brand new Angular project. Let me just prove it to you guys. So let me run it really quickly. So this is the project running. As you guys can see, it is the default template when you create a new Angular application called Electron App Tutorial. And all the code for this demo will be in the GitHub link in the description in case you miss anything or want to see something more detailed. Don't worry, it's all going to be in that link. So go check out the description for that. And now we're going to go ahead and close this because we don't need this anymore. Now the next thing is we're actually going to start setting up Electron. So the first thing that we need to go do is we need to actually go and install Electron. So for that, we're going to actually need to npm install Electron. So that's the first thing that we're going to do here. So go down to here and we're going to do npm. As you guys can see, we just have a brand new Angular application right here called Electron App Tutorial. And if you want any of the code that I'm going to show in this video, check the GitHub link in the description. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, I'm going to kill it, and now we can actually move on to actually installing Electron. And the first thing that we're going to need to do is npm install the Electron package. And that command is going to be npm install Electron. And once you've run that command, if you open your package.json, you should be able to see Electron right here. And if you do, then it's good, then it's installed. And now we can move on to some of the more changes that we have to do. You're also going to have to go into your index.html. And you're going to have to add this dot right here to base. Because Electron needs to know the entry point of your application, you need to make sure that you have this correct. And now that I have this change, if you guys remember, in the slides I said that Electron needed a specific JavaScript file to tell it where the entry point of our application is. So let's go ahead and create that file right now. Now I've gone ahead and created this app.js file. This is that JS file that I was just mentioning. And notice that I created it outside the source. And I've created it under the Electron App Tutorial folder, and it's at the same level. Why? Because you want to have this file at the same level of wherever your packaged application is going to be. And since mine is going to be on this level, this is where I'm going to have it. But now let's get into the actual code. So I moved in all the code that we're going to need for this file. Let me walk you guys through it. So we're going to require Electron, obviously. And then we're going to do this browser window. What is the browser window? Well, it's literally the window of Electron, and we are basically going to be setting whatever variables that we want in here for how to look and feel of it. But right now we're just going to be setting the width and the height. This is an extremely important line right here. Why? Because like I mentioned in the slide, there is a certain entry point to our application that then points us to where the actual pages are. This is where that happens. So you want to do it in the dist because this is the actual build of it. And then we're going to set it to that index.html page, which we changed the base href right here. So this is how the layer goes. Electron is going to go to this file, boot it up, and be like, okay, where is the application that I now need to show inside of my browser window? And it goes right here. And then when we're here, we're basically just saying, hey, when it closes, no, we're done. Close it up. And then here it just basically creates the window and initializes the actual Electron desktop app. Once we're done with this, we now actually need to go and change how we actually run and build our project, because we need to actually change it to use Electron. So go ahead and open your package.json. And in your package.json, you're going to have to make a few changes. One, you're going to need to declare that file that you just created as main. So main, and make sure to put that app.js. If you called it app.js or you called it main.js, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you declare it right here. And now we're going to change these scripts. We're going to add these two right here under test. And this is basically so we can quickly run Electron. This Electron right here is going to quickly just open up the window and use your latest build, while Electron build is going to build your project and then run Electron within here. And once you have this here, we can actually go ahead and test this. And how can we test this? We can do it by running an npm run Electron build, and let's see the results. And we'll look at here, guys. Look what we had pop up. We have the Electron app tutorial, which is obviously this project, still executing and running from right here. I didn't have to do anything else. And it is clearly not in a browser window. So we clearly see that we have Electron running, and all of this is good. So we clearly see that we've installed Electron properly, but this isn't exactly what we want, right? I promised you guys that we would be able to open this application up on our desktop. So now we need to go to the next step, and that's that we need to use Electron Packager to actually package this so we have a nice executable that we can just click on. So let's go ahead and I'll show you guys how to do that. So I went ahead and closed the application, and now we need to install something. And to install Electron Packager, we need to do this exact command, npm install Electron Packager, and click enter. And if you installed Electron Packager correctly, you should be able to see it right here. And now you should be able to run this command. So if Electron Packager is installed correctly, you should be able to run this command, Electron Packager. This dot is going to be the output directory. Then we're going to have the name of what we're going to call our app. And then we're going to state the platform that we're actually going to package it into. So this one is Win32 for Windows. And then we're going to do -- overwrite. This is just in case we already created one and packaged it and it's in that same location. It will override it and update it. And now we're going to press enter. And now I'm going to package it, and we'll come back when the results are here. So as you can see down here, it says that we've written a new app to this place in the D drive, and that just happens to be right here within our application. So if you open it, you should see all this stuff. But right before we actually check the results of what happened and to see if Electron and our Angular app actually worked together, I'd really appreciate it if you guys are finding this video helpful. Please drop a like on this video so I can spread to more developers on YouTube. Thank you. And I just want to reiterate right here where you put the platform. This is where you do Windows, Linux, or Mac. Just remember, if you're on Windows, you cannot package a Mac version of it. But if you're on Mac, you can obviously do Mac as well as you can do Windows. So if you're on Windows and you're confused why you can't create a Mac version, you got to hop on a Mac, take your code base there, and then package it. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to right click here. I'm going to open it in File Explorer. You guys will be able to see it right here. We're going to go in here and look, you should see all this good stuff in here. You see all its DLLs, all its dependencies, and right here, you see our application. So if you double click it, it'll open up right here. And we are now obviously not running it in here. We are now running this executable that is right here, this application, and it is running in Electron. So this is our Angular application running inside Electron, and it's not running through Visual Studio Code. It is actually the one that we packaged and is right here. And you can take it a step further, and obviously you can say, hey, let's create a shortcut. This shortcut can sit on your desktop, and you now have it to just open right here. So let's close it, and you can just now open it up right there. Boom. Great little shortcut, and your Electron app is right there living as a desktop app. And now that you have your Electron app all packaged up like this with all its dependencies, it's really up to you guys. Where do you want to take it? Do you want to create an installer for it? Do you want to upload it to the store? Do you want to zip it up? It's up to you guys. And now that you have this Angular application that runs within Electron, maybe you want to add into your project a video player or a carousel. Well, choose your own adventure by clicking one of the videos above.